This is Providence Television International, the game changer. Stand by for the next program.
Good morning and welcome to the newspaper analysis segment on the Morning Drive Providence Television International. My name is Ugbebo Ikekwa and I have with me in the studio Dr. Emmanuel Egariba. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, our viewers at home and abroad. Good morning to you.
Well, another lovely day. We'll be delving to the newspaper analysis, but as usual, before we do that, we have something special from Dr. Emmanuel Egariba.
Yes, it's special because it makes me want to throw up, based on the fact that, again, we're not getting the appropriate responses from government, all right? And this has to do with somebody who has served this country selflessly and meritoriously. It's ailing. His condition is very pathetic, very, very pathetic. And we just pray that a lifeline comes up as quickly as possible. I'm talking about somebody who has kept the glory of this nation aloft in sports, particularly in football. I want to be very specific. And I'm talking about Peter Fregene, also known as Akbo. That's a picture there. It's very pathetic. It's not something we should be showing, but I just want to draw government's attention to him. It's right now bedridden. It's at hospital facility Obule Medical Center in Saple, here in Delta State. And he's been down for quite some time, really. Peter Fregene, you remember, was the number one goalkeeper for so long, between 1960 and 1980. For 20 years, he wore the banners, he wore the colors, rather, of this country, and he did it selflessly, without counting the cost. These days, our boys are looking for how much they can get. But in their own time, in their generation, they did not count the cost. They represented this country by wearing the colors, and they were just happy about that. Right now, Peter Fregene is on the sick bed. I should think that the governments of Edo and Delta states should come quickly to his rescue. Why do I say Edo and Delta? He's an indigene of the old Bendel and Midwest, Bendel State and Midwest region. Okay, so we're looking forward to assistance from the governors of these two states to come quickly to his rescue. Something can still be done. It's over 70 years, but we can still give him a lifeline. Glo has been trying. We hope that Chief Mike Ononuga can still come to his rescue. He's been there for quite some time now, and it's a pity that it's in such a very bad shape. And this brings me to what I've always talked about. I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago that I talked about this. We need to have a special welfare scheme, or what you call a foundation, for our sports heroes. Not just in football. We have many of them in boxing, in athletics, track and field. We have them in weightlifting. We have them in swimming, who have carried the banner of this country to very great heights. Most of them are in penury, and this is very awful, really. And many have died. The other day I spoke about this. I talked about the great coach Sebastian Broderick's, who died in penury. Nobody came to his aid until he passed on. How many can we count? Coach Shaibu could not pay his house rent. It's late. He could not. I can mention in boxing, for instance, many have died. Where is Davison Ande today? It's gone. This was the guy who won a gold medal in Moscow back in the 80s for this same country. And there are many like that we can mention. But where are they? Many have died. Unsung. I think we're going to have a program now called Unsung Heroes. Those who have died and who are still living. And we're looking for sponsors, actually. When we debut with the program, Unsung Heroes of Nigeria, we and I pray to the God I serve, God Almighty, that one day I'll be empowered so that I can have a foundation, particularly for our sports heroes. That God can do for me. It's my special prayer and supplication every day that, yes, I'm saying this because I was involved in sports for so long, most of my active years in broadcasting were in sports. As one of the great sports commentators in this country. Okay, so but we know them, and we know that with a little lifeline, many of them can still survive. So we are appealing to Governor Burewuri of Delta and Governor Baseki of Edo State to come together. This is a special appeal to save the life of a great hero, Peter Akpo Fregene, who is down there in Sapele at the moment. We can still save him. Yes, that's the picture. We can still save him, so he can enjoy a little bit more of comfort before he passes on. So this is my special appeal. Back to you.
Well, quite a sad one there, I must tell you. I was really actually taken aback with that narrative. It goes a long way. We actually did discuss welfare of those heroes. To think that that is a Fregede lying there on the bed and without help. And, well, quite a wonderful gesture from the studios, Providence Television International, for any way that you can help. Not just the government style, even individual help is sought.
You know, well, I must say this. I mean, this station is received all over the world.
Exactly.
Okay, so, but I think that people in the diaspora can also assist,
yes,
one way or the other, particularly citizens of Edo and Delta states.
Yes.
Because Fregene is from this part of the country. And I think that we can be more than being our brother's keeper.
Exactly.
Okay? So we'll look forward to such assistance and such lifeline.
Exactly. And so with this, we'll move to the front page of a new Telegraph newspapers, where we have federal government approves Dangote refinery as sole supplier of jet fuel to Nigeria's airline operators.
Who else could be doing that? No, who else? NNPC is out of the equation. All right? So it's just begging the question, actually. But I think that, yes, it's a plus for Dangote. He has said that he has more than enough to supply even African countries. And I guess, yes, you can do that. Because it would be a shame if airline operators begin to leave the country in droves because they cannot access jet fuel. Okay, but here is a man who is doing much for this country. I think it must be applauded. And because of this concession, many operators would like to stay back in Nigeria.
All right. We'll move over to the front page of the Daily Times newspaper, where we'll have our first story. Attorney General of the Federation decries incessant labor unrest strike actions. Details on page 19. What is your take on this?
It's not left for the AG, the Attorney General, to say, because the right things must be done to keep strikes back. I mean, it's not a question of saying incessant strikes. What creates room for these incessant strikes? And we must address that issue. And very seriously, too. Because agitations do not just arise. Usually there's a foundation for them. And I believe that, yes, there must be room for negotiations, there must be room for dialogue. And once that is done, usually what I find strange is that at the point of settlement, there's usually an agreement. And soon after that, the party, or government now, they renege on their promises, and Labour doesn't take kindly to that. So there must be a legal framework to all of these things. I thought that was what the AG was going to be talking about. That from now on there must be a legal framework as to those agreements. Such agreements, they almost look like covenants. Covenants are agreements that cannot be broken, right? So we're looking forward to such moments. On the part of Labour, yes, there must be some greater understanding, but once there's defiance, the element of defiance, then we have an issue. ASU is hanging out now, just around the corner. Okay, what is being done now so that our children who are in the universities will not stay back home? Something must be done very urgently to ensure that that does not come to fruition. The strike action being proposed by ASU is staring us in the face. I think they gave a 14-day ultimatum.
14-day, yeah,
yes,
14-day
but it's running
ultimatum.
out quickly, and we are not addressing it. We are not addressing that issue until they go on strike. This is the time to have a roundtable conference and look at all the issues involved holistically. Yes, without any form of doubt. Okay, so it's a question of trust.
Yeah.
If there is trust in between, we won't have problems with labor. These problems arise when there is a betrayal of trust, particularly, usually from government. Yes.
Well, all right. There's this question I've always wanted to ask. Are you in support of some other unions going on strike, like the NMA?
Yes. Why not? They are a professional body. Yes. But it pains me to see that they go on strike because their own association has to do with life. Okay? That is the thing that should isolate them from the others. But look at it. Doctors are also human beings. They go to the same markets just like other people do. And that is why I think there's a deluge of doctors going out of this country to safer climes. There's no reason why we should be doing that, why we should allow that to happen. If we keep health institutions healthy. Right now, most of the health institutions are not healthy. They don't have enough capacity to take care of the needs of the people, and that angers a lot of doctors. I have relations who are doctors, very seasoned doctors, and they keep saying about the same thing anyway, that government should respond to the needs of the people in terms of healthcare delivery. For instance, there must be adequate facilities in the hospitals, particularly in the teaching hospitals. There must be good and adequate remuneration for the doctors, all right? And the professors who are teaching the young ones must be kept at home. I understand that we don't have enough professors now in the country. Most of them have gone. I mean, remember in those days when we had the brain drain, some going to Saudi Arabia. Some did not come back. Many of them did not come back. They are still domiciled outside. If you know the number of professors we have in the U.S. alone, you will be shocked. They are not coming back. And they ought to be here to teach the young ones. But still, miraculously, when our young daughters go abroad, they still excel. Yes, they excel in spite of the, I don't want to use the words low quality, but in spite of the fact that they don't get enough in terms of equipment right here. Okay, so, but we thank God that they still do well when they go outside of this country. But you ask me, it's not in the realm of rhetoric, really, that question, because they are human beings. Doctors are human beings. Is their right, is their constitutional right to say they want to go on strike. But I'm saying that as protectors of the human life and the human species, they should think less of strike and think more of dialogue.
All right, we'll move to the second story on the front page of the Daily Times. Senate seeks improved budgetary allocation to universities.
Improved budgetary allocation to the universities.
Yes.
The teaching hospitals are part of the university. And this is what I've just said. Okay? Every university, every teaching hospital in this country is attached to university. University of Benin Teaching Hospital. Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. You can go on and on and on. So they are part of the system. And I'm happy about what Senate has said now. Increased budgetary allocation. This is one of the areas of very serious friction. Budgetary allocation. Look at what has happened in the recent past. Universities have been placed on special tariff by way of electricity supply. That is absolutely unnecessary. Okay? Many of them, particularly state-owned universities, they get little or nothing from government. Where they want to get money from. And yet universities are supposed to be social services. They're not supposed to be money-making, really. Those that are money-making are within the private sector purview, private universities. Those ones charge to the high heavens. But public universities are more of social services. I want to see them that way. And that's why government, I think, should subsidize a lot of things that get involved. Electricity is one of them, okay? The training of lecturers, not training really, I mean by way of research. Universities are founded for learning and for research. The learning aspect, yes, that can be understood. But what of research? Many of them don't have grants for research programs. They don't. That I know very well because I've interviewed a lot of vice chancellors and they keep saying the same thing, right? So, but yes, I hope the Senate can follow it up very quickly so that we don't have unrest, moments of unrest arising from such discrepancies.
All right, we'll move to the Nigerian Tribune, where we have judgments on VIO restrictions not applicable in Lagos.
I don't know why I have not read the body of that story. Perhaps they have their reason, but this is a legal issue, by the way. And I think that I'm going to I think it's the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court. And I don't know, we can put that in abeyance until you have a bigger picture on it.
All right, we'll move to the front page of the Punch newspapers. Marketers to begin direct Dangote petrol purchase.
That's good news. That's good news, but at what price? Marketers to begin direct, that's lifting now
exactly
from Dangote. But at what price? I mean, the whole thing is really opaque. I've used the word repeatedly. What is being hidden? I mean, I don't understand. Yes, they are lifting petrol now. That means it ought to be cheaper than what we're having now.
Yes.
Okay? And that also means that they are not going through NNPC to lift the product.
Yes.
Which is sure relief as far as we're concerned. So I believe also that, yes, it's a good omen for the industry and also for consumers of the product. In Nigeria, for instance, we're still going through agony and pain and sorrow arising from the petrol issue. And the earlier it comes down, the better for everybody. Okay, so I hope that it will come down eventually because, again, look at it now. We're approaching the Christmas season when people move from one place to the other.
Yes.
And vehicles need to be fueled appropriately. Transport fees or transport fares should come down appropriately. Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much, sir. On this note, I want to say thanks for watching. We've just come to the end of the newspaper analysis for today on the program Morning Drive Providence Television International. But don't go away as the interview segment comes up next.